Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon and I'm going to do a solo video. We are back from our very short Christmas break. Thank you for understanding. We had to take a couple of days off. Geeky will be back in later this afternoon. I think she wants to talk about Wonder Woman. We'll see how the day goes. But yeah, I hope to those of you who celebrate Christmas that you had a good one. For sure, it's been a pretty long year. I think everyone deserves to have it go out on a high note. I hope it goes out on a high note for you. We're going to talk about DC Comics and how I don't think DC Comics is going to go out on a high note. This actually broke on Christmas Day. Rich Johnston put it up on Bleeding Cool that there's a third wave of job cuts coming for DC Comics in January. And I don't know, guys. It looks like they're winding it down. It looks like they're winding down DC Comics as a comic book publisher. I thought that they were going to, possibly put all of their eggs into the YA graphic novel basket. But it looks like they're starting to cancel those titles as well. In fact, Christmas Eve, Johnston put up that Zatanna, the Jewel of Gravesend, is also being canceled. This is one of their graphic novels. This is one of their YA books that they've been pushing so hard for. Why does she look like Debbie Gibson with a hat and stuff? I don't know. Anyway, this is getting canceled too. So something is definitely up. We're going to talk about that before we get into it. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 163,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Again, it means a lot to us. This year has been great for us, and hopefully next year we're going to ramp things up beyond what we've done this year, and hope you guys will come along for the ride. So here we go. This is coming from Bleeding Cool. Dropped on Christmas Day. A lot of people aren't talking about this because it did happen on Christmas. According to Rich Johnston, DC Comics has suffered two waves of job cuts during 2020, which we have talked about. They had one over the summer and then one in the fall. Pretty much every quarter they start cutting. Now they're cutting again. Those cuts included senior and long-standing company members, including staff that have been with the company for over 25 years. They don't care. They don't care. Bleeding Cool has been made repeatedly aware that it won't be stopping if there's a third expected wave to come in the new year. It wasn't all just in those two pushes either. DC Comics had lost a few senior staffers back in 2019, including Mark Chiarello, SVP DC Art and Design Director John Cunningham, SVP DC Sales, Trade Marketing, and Eddie Scannell, VP DC Consumer Marketing. Dan DiDio was fired in early 2020, and a number of editorial departures, including Pat McCallum, Alex Antone, Molly Mayhem, and Rob Levine, followed by VP Courtney Simmons-Brown, deciding to quit in favor of working on the new Lord of the Rings series for Amazon. Because, yeah, there's no money in comics, right? It was the two waves of firings across Warner's after the AT&T buyout that really got the headlines, with the employees repeatedly calling it a bloodbath when talking to Bleeding Cool. This is every division of Warner. We actually have contacts at Warner, and we hear from them, and they're like, oh my God, we're all scared. Every single one of us at this company. None of us have job security, and we're going to talk about that. What is actually going on here with Warner? And it doesn't mean anything to AT&T. AT&T is a giant telecom company. They're dismantling everything, Warner Brothers, to chase HBO Max. And you know what? If HBO Max doesn't work out, and it might not, then that's like game over. They'll probably just sell off the IP, what's left of it, dirt cheap to some other company, and call it a day and just go back to selling phones. First wave was in August. Included all these folks here. We talked about that. Bob Harris, Bobby Chase. I mean, God, these names have been on comics for decades. I remember reading comics as a kid and seeing Bobby Chase come up and Bob Harris come up. We've got Jonah Weiland, who was actually the founder of Comic Book Resources back when CBR actually did comic book news, and it was a reputable site. But he was working for DC Comics, and he's gone. There were more people in November. Stuart Schreck, Michelle Wells, co-editor-in-chief of DC Comics, Alex Carr, Vince Laterio, they're all gone. And there's more coming. and what's going on here, for those of you who've missed the previous DC Comics videos and the previous videos talking about Warner, is that AT&T bought WarnerMedia and they immediately started to dismantle it. They've been selling off divisions. Crunchyroll just got sold, and they've been laying people off like crazy. They've been consolidating. They've got $160 billion in debt, and all AT&T cares about is making Time Warner, was Time Warner, now WarnerMedia, making them profitable. And pretty much anyone working for any division of WarnerMedia is going to come into the crosshairs. They're going to look at every division, and they're going to look especially hard at comics because comics don't make a lot of money. They really don't. They don't need comic books anymore to push superhero movies or TV shows or whatever. Most people that watch these shows, they're not even familiar with the comic books. They don't care. They don't care where it came from. You could create superhero characters whole cloth and, promote a show heavily, and they're going to watch it. They're going to watch it. They don't care about the comics, and they're not going to go read the comics either. That very seldom happens. That somebody goes and watches, Endgame, and then they decide to go out and buy a whole bunch of Marvel comic books. It doesn't usually work that way. But yeah, they've been gutting this company, Warner. We've been talking about how now they're dumping all the Warner 2021 theatrical releases to HBO Max, and Hollywood is in an uproar. AT&T doesn't care. They're notorious penny pinchers. They were pinching pennies before the pandemic. Everybody's trying to blame the pandemic, but AT&T, they always want to bleed more out of whatever rocks they have, right? And that's what they're doing. They're laying a bunch of executives off. They're cutting back on shows. They're cutting back on movies. They're cutting back on comic books, especially several rounds of cutbacks in comics because comics don't make a lot of sense to a company like AT&T current year. They might even be making some kind of a profit, but it's not enough. Another casualty that they recently announced is they're closing ReadDC.com, which is their digital portal. Now, I think they're moving their DC Comics over to the DC Universe, and then the DC Universe content is moving to HBO Max. I don't know. I'm really confused. But you can still read your books on Comixology, but they're closing that portal down. So yeah, digital comics aren't really the future, are they? A lot of people aren't reading digital comics, I don't think. I usually, it depends on what it is. If it's a new release and I can't get to a comic shop, because there aren't very many comic shops left, and the nearest comic shop for me is like 45 minutes away, I might pick up a single issue on Comixology, but I don't read a lot of digital comics. Now, it seems like they've been focusing more on YA graphic novels. They've made a big deal out of this I Am Not Starfire graphic novel, where Starfire has a gothy gay daughter, frumpy, angry, hot topic, Danny DeVito looking daughter, and everyone's been panning this. They're like, what the actual hell? And it got worse when they showed actual pages. People were like, what the actual hell is this? This is not a DC comic. But they have been pushing the YA graphic novels really hard, and everybody's like, oh, they're just going to do graphic novels. They're going to do YA graphic novels. They're going to try to be scholastic with superheroes. But they're already starting to cancel those books as well. So what is going on here? They've been canceling monthly titles, including Aquaman. Aquaman, who is a major character now. He had a $1 billion movie. You'd think that they would be all about Aquaman. No, they're canceling Aquaman too. Canceling a bunch of books. And it just seems like every month it's changing. They're going to do a big shakeup next year, this future state thing. They've got the Infinite Frontier one-shot coming out. And then after that, it looks like they're going to have a really pared down, slimmed down, DC Comics line. Very, bare bones. And I don't think this is what the original plan was because, again, they got rid of Dan DiDio earlier this year. I think it was supposed to be a much bigger event, but it does look like they're trying to bring, some new characters in here to hopefully, get TV shows on HBO Max or something. But the thing is HBO Max isn't doing so hot. It really isn't. They were very, very slow to get it on Amazon Fire TV, and they were very slow to get it on Roku. It just dropped on Roku like a week ago, I think. And they've only got like 12 or 15 million subs compared to, you know, Disney Plus and Netflix, which have many, many, many more times that. I think Peacock even has more subs than HBO Max. So I don't know if it's the cost or the accessibility or what the issue is, but I don't think this is going to be the slam dunk they're hoping for. And if that doesn't work out, I got to wonder if AT&T is not going to look at the whole thing at all of WarnerMedia and be like, just sell off the assets to somebody. You know, somebody come in and just buy all these characters, decades of history, all these classic movies, classic TV shows, sell the whole damn thing off because we're not going to bother with it. I mean, they currently own CNN. Rumors have been circulating. They're going to sell CNN. They're selling CNN headquarters. You know, Cartoon Network, we know that shows are being canceled behind the scenes. You know, everything is changing. And comics, of course, are going to get, you know, a lot of cancellations too, because again, they're not nearly as important as this other media, especially to a company like AT&T. And we're definitely looking at the end stage of the direct market for sure. And I don't know what state comics is going to be in, you know, 2 to 5 years from now. But the fact that they're already canceling these graphic novels that they were making a big deal about is not a good sign. You know, this is not a good sign. This was dropped on, Christmas Eve. Scheduled for April 2021, DC Comics has canceled all retailer orders for the DC YA original graphic novel, Zatanna, the Jewel of Gravesend. DC Comics has told retailers the graphic novel will be resolicited at a later date, but for now, the book is off the schedule. So, was it not coming together, or are they just starting to cancel these books? I think they're just starting to cancel these books. You know, they said they've lost Michelle Wells, who was the co-editor, I guess, or co-executive editor after Dan DiDio got gone, and she was spearheading a lot of the OGN YA line. I have to think that I Am Not Starfire was too far along in production. But, yeah. So it's interesting. They said, frankly, it's a miracle more books like Zatanna haven't been pushed down the schedule right now. So be grateful for small mercies at this time of year. I think it might get gone. I think some of these books, especially after the backlash to I Am Not Starfire, I think they might just get gone. They might just quietly cancel them altogether, because I don't think that this is what's going to save this company. Now, right now, they need to just focus on making money, and these books I don't think are going to make money. What are they going to do? Sell them through book fairs? All the kids are at home. You know, where are they going to sell these damn books at? I don't know. Gonna wrap this one up, though. It's going to be very interesting to see where DC is a year from now. I do think they'll be around in some form, but who the hell knows the way things are going. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk to you guys later.